Hello, true duelists. My name's Craig Fee, and welcome to the New Card Report. The final deck of Duelist Pack, holy fuck, it's bright out here, has been revealed, and the people eager for new Arcana support can continue to wait for another 3 years minimum, if they're lucky. Because even better, fans of whoever the hell it is that's on the cover of the Japanese version of this pack can suck it as well, because we all know whose face is going on this one, okay? 4,000 more years of Yugi Kaiba. Every tin, every pack, every product. Only 2 characters in the franchise. Let's fucking go, dude. It's XYZ support, but not me incorrectly saying Xyz, like the X and Y and Z cannons. Here we go. X Cross Cannon is how I choose to say that name, and it's a new level 4 light machine with 1800 attack, 1500 defense, and the ability to special summon itself from the hand if you control a light machine fusion monster or just a union monster. So that's nice. It can also, during the main phase, equip one appropriate Light Machine Union monster from your deck to itself, but doing so will lock you into only summoning light monsters from the extra deck for the rest of the turn. The lock does let you use the majority of the neat toys the deck has abused in the past for the most part. Things like Platinum Gadget, Tsukiyomi for fans of 2016, and even things like Cyber Dragon Infinity for fans of throwing those Galaxy Soldiers into some deck to justify the purchase. But it does also end the ease of access to IP, assuming you don't make IP before activating this card's effect. I assume you still do that because it's not like IP has gotten worse over the course of the years, only ABC as a deck. I don't lab with this deck tremendously often because I'm not Calvin Tahan, but this will equip a material which can then summon itself to then be used as more material for things. So that is not nothing, and also it's only going to be ABC decks that play this, so let's not pretend it's important in any other context. If you open Hanger and this card in your hand, you can essentially get 4 monsters onto your field between this card and its effect to equip from the deck, and then using Hanger to search another card, normal summon that, and then activate Hanger to equip Union Driver, because Union Driver also exists and is the card Konami gave to make the restriction on Union Hanger entirely meaningless at the cost of playing a terrible Garnet to draw. It's a solid start we have here because this card is not in any ways bad, and I'm interested to see what else the deck is going to get. Y-Dragon Yearhead is a goofy-ass name that I hope we keep in the TCG for our newest Union monster, and this one's a level 4 light machine, but with the Union status, 1500 attack, 1600 defense, and on special summon, can equip a level 4 light machine monster from your hand or graveyard to it, and in doing so will also lock you into extra deck monsters that feature the light attribute only. And because it's a Union monster, it can of course either target a machine you control to equip it to that monster, or while it's equipped it can special summon itself. And while it is equipped, the monster will be protected once from being destroyed by battle or card effect. So it's not the immunity that, A, B, and C provided from spell cards, trap cards, or monster effects, but we already have those effects, so I don't really know what else you can give to the equip status that is of all noteworthy beyond an attack boost. Either way, it's kind of irrelevant. Destruction protection's marginally better, so we'll take it. I have seen an FTK already involving this card, since that's just a tradition for this deck. Shoutouts to A going to 1 back in Firewall days. But there's no once per turns is actually what's mainly the tradition for this deck. And because one Y-Dragon head guy can equip another Y-Dragon head guy, if you have 3, you can just keep looping them infinitely and then tribute them off with Cannon Soldier. So that's fucking cool to see. But the version of the FTK I saw did require playing Curious, the Lightsworn banned card in the TCG, and more than that, there's no reason to play that FTK over Gimmick Puppets, because Jesus Christ, Gimmick Puppet FTK is very much a thing. Still, this is effectively a wolf bark for the deck, and its 1500 attack stat will come up with their newest spell card. Overall, hooray! Another solid card. Zillion Tank is the last new level 4 light machine union, this one with 1500 attack, 1300 defense, and the design philosophy of about 75% of all Zelda bosses. This one also has the same union effects attached to protect or summon from the equip, and when this one is special summoned, it can equip a light machine monster to it from the banishment. Isn't that fancy? And again, doing so will lock you into only light monsters from the extra deck for the rest of the turn. It's an interesting bit of difference and ties together the the 3 newest monsters. One gets from the deck, one gets from the hand or grave, and one gets from the banishment. It'll cover all the areas that your cards will feasibly exist in, besides like banished face down, but come on. And it's really awesome to see to get back from the banishment when the opponent calls by your ABC and then it just tributes itself and it gets banished and negated, so then all your pieces are banished. That sucks. It's not common, I know, but man, does it feel good to do that to an ABC player, so I assume it must feel fucking awful when it happens to you. So some mild looping of your banished materials is nice, plus it works with one of our newest fusion monsters we'll be getting in a moment for other shenanigans, so it's really not terrible. I don't know that all of these are phenomenal or what ABC was lacking, but I don't think they hinder plays, so I don't consider them to be bad. Hyper Dragon Cannon, for example, is the new boss monster for the deck, a level 9 light fusion machine with 3000 attack and 2800 defense. The materials to summon this are to no shock the 3 newest toys, and like ABC Dragon Buster or Buster Dragon or whatever that card's name is that I will never commit to my memory, you can summon this by banishing the materials from your field and or graveyard. This has the classic Xyz effect, and by Xyz I mean XYZ effect, to discard and target a card and destroy it, and this one's even a quick effect compared to the original. Whoa! Talk about modern card design, they literally just put quick effect on it. This one also has an effect to recover materials like ABC does, but this one's a little bit different. It can banish itself from your field or graveyard to reveal a level 8 light machine fusion monster from your extra deck, and then summon up to 3 of the materials whose names are mentioned on it from your grave and or banishment. Well, that's not a float, but it is something. Being able to be used from the grave to soul charge your monsters back from the grave or banishment is pretty damn solid, and it lets you use it as link material, I suppose, so it's not nothing. I do wish the pop was maybe non-targeting, but this does feel like it's going to be free material by banishing the materials to summon it from the grave, and then revealing ABC and bringing back ABC's materials for more free link spam before making ABC. So that is going to be pretty damn good. Plus, if nothing else, it's another free 3K beater by just, banishing the pieces from your graveyard. So that in itself is not bad. Not to mention, like all the new toys that we've seen thus far, it looks cool as shit. They just took the X antibody from Digimon and slapped it onto the X, Y, and Z monsters that Kaiba used. So they're all spiky and edgy and cooler. I dig it. It's not unlike the next monster that they have that's fucking absurd that I also dig. Because up next is Union Controller. And people say Game Freak is out of ideas. Yeah, it turns out if you turn enemy controller into a fusion monster, it becomes a level 6 light machine with 2200 attack and 1600 defense. And the materials to make a enemy controller, as it turns out, are any light machine monster and either Yearhead or Zillion Tank. Doesn't explain the lack of an eye on it, nor the fact that the only monster not specific to summoning this is the one featured on the card art, but hey, I don't get to do things in Yu-Gi-Oh, I just get to talk about it. This is also summoned by banishing the materials from your field, but notably not from your grave, so it's just a contact fusion from the things on the field, and needs any machine, and wired, I already said that. On summon from the extra deck, this can add any spell or trap from your deck to your hand that will mention Union Monster in its text. You need to search out Union Monster spell or trap card. It can also once per turn summon a light machine, normal, or Union Monster from your hand as well, and it's pretty groovy. An extra way to search out Union Hanger is always nice, and of course extending from the hand is also nice. Would be cooler if it was, from the grave as well, but you can't have your cake and eat it too, or so I am told. It's cool to see generic, so that you can abuse things like Platinum Gadget and other things as fusion material to make it, to really milk the most out of all the cards in your hand, seeing as how we now have an abundance of level 4 machines to be abusing in this deck, and consistency from the extra deck is always solid. I can make this and then search from there. It's just good. It's good. It is good. Plus, I love how it's fucking goofy as shit, and you can now beat down an opponent with enemy controller for game. That is the funniest way to lose a duel in a hot minute. It's so stupid, and I love it. And more than that, I love the new toy that we got that this can search out as well if you're opting to not get Union Hanger, because this can also get you Union activation. A normal spell card that sends a Light Machine normal or Union monster from your hand or deck to the graveyard, and will then let you add a Light Machine monster with the same attack but different original name from your deck to your hand. It also has the quirky little graveyard effect where if you special summon 3 Light Machine monsters at the same time while this is in your graveyard, you can banish it and then add a monster with 3,000 or more attack from your deck to your hand, and immediately after this effect resolves, you normal summon that monster. Holy shit, is that an anime reference? In the anime character's deck? Oh my god, oh my god, and oh my god, that is insane. It's a foolish burial and something of a ROTA all in one depending on what it is you're sending, and arguably a trade-in depending on the ratios and what it is you're sending as well. It can turn on Year Head and helps unbrick some hands where you can only get 2 of the pieces but not all 3, although it's worth noting that the only overlap between A, B, C and X, Y, and Z that we just got is that both B and Y have 1,500 attack. Anything else, you're playing the original Garnets. So, you know, it's whether you want to say the original trio or the original 5-0, if we want to pretend that V and W were still included in all this, but what do I know? There's also the fact that while you can anime reference out Obelisk the Tormentor with this card's graveyard effect, you can instead play Beast King Barbaros to get a board wipe on the opponent's turn instead of playing the functional vanilla monster that is Obelisk the Tormentor. Just saying. There are better options to go for, of course, if you're a fan of memes like, I don't know, Blue Eyes. I was going to say Guilford, but he doesn't have 3,000 attacks. You can't do that. And again, the comedy there would be that Guilford's just worse than Barbaros. Well, it's so funny. Crazy, I know. It's a fucking foolish burial, and it's sometimes a ROTA if you're playing, you know, B and Y. So it's a damn good card, and it's playable. Not much else needs to be said. And if you're a fan of the Barbaros wipe at the cost of running Barbaros as a Garnet, extra comedy. All in all, it's not a bad lineup of cards. The biggest thing bringing it down, I think, is the fact that it's a legendary duelist pack. So when we inevitably get Kaiba on the cover, like I think this is the Chinese version that has Kaiba on the cover, guarantee the TCG's getting that too. You know that this is going to be overpriced to shit, you know, right? Like it's going to be $30 for the new field spell or the new normal spell, pardon me, minimum, which means you're looking at like $100 at least to play the new ABC toys. And I don't know if those price tags are going to be worth it. As is always the case, I could very well be wrong, but nothing here screams phenomenal. They're solid cards, I think, and I've seen some mean end boards made using them, but Union Hanger is still very much necessary, and if these are released at a time when Tenpai is still popular, you're going to be running into things like Dimension Barrier and Ghost Ogre on your field spell, which is the shittiest thing to run into from what I remember playing this deck in 2016. I think this will be another great addition to regional and rogue decks, but if they start to show contention at YCSs by storm, I'd be pretty shocked. This has light locks, this has, you know, to run up against things like Cycle Reader, and the fact that there's so many good new monsters just means you've got monsters to play, and unless you open the new Crosshead, if you open too many monsters, this deck does not do nearly enough. I could be wrong, like I said, but nothing here is just like, wow, that's definitely a great new deck. In a non-meta sense, this does make the originals obsolete if we ignore the fact that they're not obsolete at all if you choose to commit to make A to Z Dragon, since you still need those Garnets in your deck. You can incorporate them fairly easily. The new spell card will ROTA one by sending the other, so you can send the original to search the new name, but at that point you're playing the originals, and that wasn't remotely viable in 2016, let alone 8 years later. I think they're cool, I think it's neat that they can be included, but honestly, having them copy the original names while in the field might have been a better move. Just saying. And of course there's the fact that Kaiba is getting the last light slot, so fans of GX decks just stay losing, because between the 6 attribute packs and the 18 possible archetypes / decks, they got 1 GX deck. That's it. I think we got like 5 DM era decks, this being the 5th. God, DM fans stay winning as always. GX fans, GL is actually what it is. Not for Green Lantern, for like get L's, because it's just fat L. If you're a fan of GX, you're a fan of Suffer, and that's what's up. And that's it. So huge shout outs as always to the LIFD magnetic display. That's right. sponsor of the video, best way to support me financially currently, and of course the true duelist way to show off all your favorite cards. Promo code YGOStrats15 in the checkout, or click the link in the description of this video, whether you want the 3-man set, the 1-guy pie, or whatever it is. Just money. It's money. You save some, I get some. That's the deal. So if you like it, by all means. And if you don't, by all means, hit subscribe anyways. Doing so will get you updates, as always. It'll impress your smoking Italian wife. That's an obvious mandatory thing to do. And beyond all that, it'll make you a true duelist. So what are you waiting for? Hit subscribe.